Hey, Coach, welcome to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe down below and click up above. That way you'll be notified of everything that kind of comes through. If you're looking to win championships, if you're looking to have a messy basement like this, but a basement like this, go down over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It's the resources, it's mentoring, it's the one-stop shop for basketball coaches. Go over and check it out. Have a great day.
Welcome to the Basketball Leadership Podcast. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Coach?
I'm good. I'm excited about today's topic because it's the 5 keys to building a winning culture. And I'm intrigued, and I've had a lot of questions for you because I felt like post-COVID, our culture has had to reset a little bit.
Yep.
Just
Yeah, COVID had an impact on all of us. I mean,
yeah,
we've talked about that a lot, but I
yeah,
think, I start culture, we got to define it, and I think it's like defining leadership. It's the same thing. And then so as I tried to define it, I tried to simplify it. It's a very broad term. And so for me, whether it's our school or my team, whatever it may be, but I think culture is what we allow. Culture is what we emphasize. Culture is every day. And so that simplifies it for me. It simplifies it for our team. So what do we allow? What do we emphasize in every day? And it's really important because you can't emphasize everything. We've been talking about simplicity on other podcasts. You got to pick, I'm going to say 3 things that really matter to you. But then the big one is, what do you allow? And you really think about, as a coach, what do I allow on a day-to-day basis in my team? Because what we allow is what our culture ends up becoming, and if we don't address things, it affects our culture. So when I talk about 5 keys to that, talk about core values, traditions and rituals, communication, relationships, and just expectations on roles. And I think all 5 of those you could fit into what you allow, what you emphasize in every day. So core values, what do you value? What's important to you? You really have to know that as a coach. Like what, for me, it's no deposit, no return. That's like something that I value. Hard work, everything is earned. It's a mindset. Positive energy is another one. We talk about it a lot. And then team play. Those are like our 3 core values. And then you have to build traditions and rituals that are centered around those. So our off-season program, our 300-hour club program, has the philosophy of no deposit, no return. You got to bring things in that become traditions or rituals in your program that emphasize that. And then obviously communication and relationships are incredibly important as a coach. We have to be clear and concise. We have to be, a transformational coach, be relationship based. And then finally, I think the role definition is something that's so important for us as coaches. Like, we have to be clear and we have to be truth tellers with our kids. We're one of the last truth tellers, and we have to be very clear and honest on roles. When you're not, you are going to deal with the consequences of that. So those 5, in a nutshell.
It's strengths and realities is what I refer to it. Not strengths and weaknesses. It's strengths and realities.
Yeah,
And you
that's
have
a
to,
great phrase. I like that.
you have to talk about that with them. We were just last week we were talking about the my coaches retreat. It's like we went through, and we talked about when we do this, and we do this after we pick the team. We do the initial role, and then we play a couple against stats teacher, then we play a couple games so I have some data.
Yep.
And then we have another role setting, and then we do another one in the mid-season, and then we do one right before tournament, because you can't just do it once, coaches, when you're doing that, when you're setting roles and stuff, because they, first of all, they shift, and then you want them to move along with, things change. Roles shift throughout the season a lot, actually.
I'm about 4 times a year, kind of like what you said, preseason, about a month into the year, kind of right before, but at least 3 times a year. But you have these ongoing conversations with kids too, and so you're always, like, everything has to be purposeful when you're talking to your kids. So you're talking about roles, you're celebrating what they're good at, I use that phrase, be great at what you're good at, all the time. And I really, it's a team thing. Like, you have an important part of your team. Don't try to be someone you're not. Just be great at who you are. Be great at what you're good at. But yeah, I think those, culture it can get really, really complicated, but you really need to simplify it and think about your day-to-day decisions that you make and how that really affects culture on your team.
Because your team is like a community, and every
It's a
culture,
family, it's a community.
It's all that, and all those have we all have traditions. We have holiday traditions, we have family traditions. It's like all those things. We have expectations. Like, my kids had expectations growing up from me and my mom is their mom. So all that matters, but it's what you expect. I'll give you, as an administrator and a teacher, they gave me a first hour for the first time in like 15-20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And my expectation is you're in my class on time. That's my expectation.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I teach seniors, and first hour tends to be a little tricky for them. And I just tell my coaches, I had a couple students, one was late because of an accident, and one couldn't find their keys. And I had such a cultural discussion with them up to that point that they both like were panicked and sent me emails, and it's like,
Yeah.
so sorry. And I said, that was better for me than any statistics I could have taught them, because they'll probably forget that. But they, there's a great video we watch about being on time, and about, what does it mean? And it's not just about being on time. It's about the other person's time. And it's about, and for me, it's more about, I don't want to take the distraction away from everyone else because you show up late and then I got to da 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 da.
Yep.
So
it's a respect thing.
But that's a cultural thing I've set up in my room, that it's like, no, you got to be on time. Like,
Yeah. It's a standard setting. All you're doing is setting standards, and it's not rocket science. If you set that standard and you follow through with it, they're gonna follow that. And if you don't and you're not consistent, they won't. And there's your culture. So you can feel culture when you walk into a school, or you walk into a classroom, or you walk into a gym, or that team comes to play you. You get a sense. I mean, we've seen cultures that kids are not dressed well, they're ragtag, they're sloppy, and then that carries over to the game. Like, it all fits.
Yeah,
How you do anything is kind of how you do everything a little bit, right?
And it's all related. It's all like, I know when I took over this program, they didn't even have practices every Saturday. And it's like, what? Like, no, you're going to be a practice. You're going to, like, we're going to practice over winter break. We're going to do that. I mean, there's just things that you have to set standards on, and be willing to draw that line. And it's like, that's the cultural thing. And you can't be everything. You can't be everything. No. And you can't be militant. It's like, no, if you miss a practice for me and you're a starter, you don't start. That one of my cultural standards is that. And I'm not punishing you, because I've had kids miss for D1 things. I've had kids miss for funerals. It's fine, but I'm rewarding the kid that's there. So it's not that you're not going to play. You probably play the same amount of minutes, but it's like, here's the standard is, you're going to be at practice if you can. If you're sick, 100%, you can't be there, shouldn't be there. But I'm not punishing you. I'm rewarding the kid that's here that just learned all of the stuff we did today, and blah, 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 blah. So I think some of those things.
I used to have that same hard, fast rule, and I took that out, and I still would follow through with that, but I've had situations happen that you can't control, that if I would have had a hard, fast rule, now I'm making a really ethical, tough decision. And the kids don't want that either. So, it's tricky. We had one year, 2005, at a really talented team, incredibly competitive team, very couple emotional players on the team. And I set the standard right from day one. I said, any technical foul at all, I don't care for what. Okay, you're done for the game. It's just that simple. you're outdone for the game.
And sometimes you have to do that. When I took over the program, I had to do that too, because I was just 26. I had to do that to get the culture where I needed. And I have backed off on that rule too. It's a case by case now for me.
Agree.
Yes.
And I am now. At the time though, with that group, I had to.
Yeah.
And the only kid that got a technical all year was probably the last kid on the team that would have gotten a technical. And it was in a competitive game. It went into overtime. There was a foul or whatever, and he got the rebound, and he went to pass it to an official who was probably 20 feet away. The ref turned away to do the call. The ball hit him, and the ref just reacted by teeing him up.
Right.
And it's like, but
I gotta sit. Yeah. I had one where I think it was a slap the board, or he didn't even really slap the board. And it's like, you really teed him up for that. And it wasn't. And then I sat him, and it's like, so again, but I don't
case
regret
by case now. I don't either anymore.
I don't regret having that rule, because I needed to have the rule for cultural, for long term. I needed it.
Yep.
But for short, now that you and I are older and probably have a little bit more,
a little wiser, and
a little street cred too. As far as you're going to do the right thing, and it's like things happen. It's like all right. Anything else, Coach?
I think that's it.
All right. Until next week.
See ya.
Hey, Coach. So glad you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed it a lot. Actually, if you did, subscribe and like, and then go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.